Today is a big day. We are checking out of Costa Rica. We're leaving. Woo. We need to visit 3 different departments, starting with immigration, then customs. Hopefully they're not going to find all my stash. And then lastly, the port captain. So wish us luck.
And we're doing it all by ourselves this time. Time will tell whether that's a wise idea.
Got all the paperwork ready, so fingers crossed there will be no problems.
Well, that's a good start. Apparently this is the immigration office. We're just on a public holiday weekend right now and it looks like they've extended. Hangover hasn't quite shifted yet. Immigration went well and we're on to customs already. There's so much paperwork, but we're getting through it.
And we are cleared with customs as well. This is going extremely well. And they didn't even want to board our boat with sniffing dogs this time, so that's a result. My stash of sausages is safe.
Next stop, port captain.
And we are all done. Got our international Zarpe to go to Panama. And surprisingly, all of this process have only taken 1 hour. We've had horror stories that we may be here by 3 o'clock in the afternoon waiting for the dispensation to leave. But actually, it's been super efficient. That's what we like to see.
So efficient and very friendly. It's just really hit home that we're leaving this beautiful place now. I'm going to be very sad to leave this part of Costa Rica behind us.
Panama, here we go.
Well, that's checkout done, and a bumper load of fresh provisioning. That should see us through till Panama City, as long as the first mate doesn't scoff it all in his midnight snacks.
Not guaranteed.
I fitted an alarm on the fridge door.
I stress eat.
We're on a small dinghy diet at the moment. It really stops us from buying too much food. Gonna have to do 10 trips before the floorboards are bulging.
And that's not even the beers yet. We really need to get new dinghy. Bigger one. This is embarrassing. Everyone always laughs at us. 2 grown men on 7.7 foot dinghy.
Either the 2 of us look really big or the dinghy looks really small. They're not sure which. Whatever it is, they always point and laugh. Look at him clutching his lunch. Clinging onto it like a life raft.
I need to protect my baguette.
Well, goodbye to Golfito. Very mixed emotions to be leaving this wonderful place. We just passed by and did a drive-by on Colin from Parlay Revival.
See you later. Hey, what's up? We saw you arrive, we have to leave. But I'm not staying around with you next door.
The anchorage has gone downhill.
I just want to be here. Enjoy Costa Rica, guys, yeah?
So yeah, now we're off to Panama. We just got a little overnight passage anchorage on our way out of Costa Rica, and then just round the corner, a day sail into Panama. Should be lovely.
I'm actually shocked. We have 18 knots of wind on our nose directly, and we are going against a massive 8-foot tide, and it's coming in. So we are currently motoring at 2.9 knots. I don't know what the captain was thinking. Not very good timing, was it? We have 12 miles to go to this anchorage. It looks like it's gonna take us 4 hours to get there. I may need to strip him of his captain's badges.
Not my badges! Not my badges, sir! Yeah, there's a lot going on today. What with the checkout. What else was going on? Yeah, there was a lot going on this morning. What with the provisioning, the checkout, and all the paperwork. The one thing that we didn't do a good job of timing perfectly was the tide. And of course the wind. It seems like there's always wind on the nose coming out of this Gulf. We could have, in hindsight, waited a bit for the tides, but I didn't want to get stuck in one of the nightly thunderstorms. So yeah, it is what it is. But tomorrow morning, we're set for a speedy departure. We're going to be leaving on a falling tide, and we'll be leaving before the wind picks up. So tomorrow, I'm going to earn my stripes back again. You watch.
This is what happens when you're just excited and you want to go somewhere, but the conditions are not quite right. You pay for it later.
2 hours later, still beating into the wind and the waves. And another hour and a half to go. Morale is low. We're wondering if we should have just waited and set off tomorrow morning.
I'm not impressed, seriously. I think the captain needs a lesson in planning and organizing.
And first matey over here is going to be the one to give it to me, clearly.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all to pass on my wisdom and skills.
But it will be quick. I got a spare 5 minutes. What you got?
You watch where you're going. Okay, hands up. I'm not quite sure about this anchorage. It's open roadstead, but it's quite rough. I'm not quite sure the captain's going to say about that.
Doesn't look good so far. I'm just hoping that these wind waves are going to calm down. I don't think it's going to be a great night's sleep, but we've got to get up at about 3 AM anyway. So maybe we just don't go to sleep and make the best of it.
Well, welcome to Matapalo. It's quite rolly, I've got to say. I don't think I'm going to hear the end of it today from the sensitive captain. But hey, this is his choice. He didn't want to do overnight. He says, let's anchor here.
Oh my god. Nearly had captain overboard. Yeah, I'm not sure about this anchorage. I can see why it's a good surf spot, but I don't know. We haven't really planned this passage very well. We've been focused on how to check out of Golfito and how to check into Panama, and not too much about how to get the boat from here to there. So, yeah, not really our finest passage planning. We may have been better just doing it an overnighter and biting the bullet. And who knows, the night is young. We may set off yet. This anchorage was something else. It was an open roadstead, so we kind of knew it wouldn't be too comfortable, but probably the worst anchorage we've ever spent time in.
When that calendar is moving like this while we are at anchor, it's a sign of bad anchorage, trust me. The closer we are getting to Panama, the rollier it is. We're seeing this massive southerly swell coming in. So I'm hoping it's not a sign of things to come. Rolly anchorages and huge swell passages. They're literally like 10 foot. Can barely keep my coffee down. I've upgraded. Sitting behind the wheel, you see. What I say goes.
But luckily for him, he doesn't say much, so there's no arguments. Yeah, the sea's really whipped up at the moment. It was nothing like the conditions we had on the way into Golfito a few weeks back. So it seems like the seasons are changing. Come the summer season, there's a lot of southerly swell around here, and it makes some of these marginal anchorages, well, less than marginal. As we saw last night with our little passage anchorage. So it might be a bit tricky for some of these islands in western Panama that we're looking forward to visit.
Uh-oh, trouble brewing in paradise. It seems like we are heading for our first ever tropical squall. Time to brace ourselves. Luckily there is no lightning, only heavy rain. Still, looks quite scary.
I think it's time for our morning shower.
I think we are ready. Come what may.
And now we wait. I can't believe that this is our first squall after 3 years of cruising and 5 years of being on the boat. No squalls. The West Coast has really spoiled us. It's starting! It's coming straight for us now. The wind is almost double, 26 knots.
Our first squall.
28 knots now. First mate might be enjoying it, but the captain's a bit nervous.
Apparently first mate on watch. Why is it that I always get the best jobs?
It's the first time I felt cold in 6 months. Forgot what that feeling was. But actually, so far so good. Captain has managed to keep surprisingly dry at the helm here. We zipped in our little middle section, so it's like nothing's happening. And the first mate has volunteered to take his watch. He hasn't managed to keep quite so dry, bless him. I'm just really glad there's no lightning and the rain isn't heavier. The wind is surprisingly strong. Other than that, so far so good. What a lovely day's sail this turned into. I can hardly remember the last time we sailed for this long. Certainly the best sail of Costa Rica, just in time to leave. We're about 16 miles away from Isla Perida right now, so our current speed should have us in there in less than 3 hours. We've only run the engine for about 4 hours the whole day since 2 AM. Doesn't get better than that. Captain's gonna be a happy bunny for the rest of the day.
I need to think of something to spoil his mood.
See how his mind works. Right there on camera. Evidence.
Happy? Not happy.
Need to address the balance. The universe is out of balance right now.
Yin and yang.
One thing that's not quite so good is the sea's been very lumpy today. And it's been quite a shock for both of us since we were in the lagoon for far too long in that flat water. Now coming out of there, we both had seasickness the whole morning. So we had to have a few naps, power naps, to get through it and reset, but they really helped. And food service has been challenged, let's say, the whole morning.
Suspended until further notice.
Suspended until the next Golfito anchorage. Well, out with the old, goodbye Costa Rica, and in with the new. Welcome to Panama. Let's see if the first mate knows this national anthem.
Ooh, I actually do know this one. Panama, oh na na. All of my heart is in Panama, oh na na. Welcome to Panama. Day one in Panama, and the biggest disaster you can think of has happened. Our fridge packed it up. So we are absolutely full of food and the freezer is packed. We've provisioned really well because we're not going to be in any town in Panama for the next month and a half. And we've noticed that the compressor cooling fan has not come on. So that's totally gone. And Tom is now gone into D to ask Boundless and Matilda whether they have any spare fan. Because if we can't keep that compressor cool, it's not gonna work. I've always said that the day the fridge breaks is the day I'm gonna lose it, and I'm this close from it. I don't know what we're gonna do. That would be so much waste, and I can't really imagine cooking for the next month and a half without having a fridge.
There's something wrong with this picture. I shouldn't be behind this counter. It's not my domain. But I heard something was amiss. Normally we hear a really loud fan when the fridge clicks in, and I could just hear the fridge running without the fan. So that's never going to end well. And the first mate's always threatened since the day we departed that as soon as the fridge packs up, he's out of here packing his bags. So I took it apart and the fan had gone. This thing has lasted probably 20 years. It's about as old as the boat is. And would you believe it, I don't carry a spare. Schoolboy error. But enter Boundless, our buddy boat over there, and they just happen to have exactly the right type of spare fan sitting around in their spare supply. So I'm extremely grateful. I gave Colin a big hug and a kiss from both of us. And look at that, gift wrapped and everything. So, should just be able to fit that, and hopefully we'll be back in business with our cold storage. First mate can unpack his bags. Poor Peter, he was halfway through cooking as well. Everything abandoned here. I made him clear the area, empty everything out the larder. There's tools everywhere. We've just exploded into maintenance mode. Unplanned too. Done. It's humming away nicely again now. Well, that teaches me a lesson. I should always carry a spare for these things. Just like the first mate's always been telling me.
Wisely telling him. I was ready to check into a clinic when he told me the fridge may not be working for the next 2 months. No bueno.
Either a hotel or a clinic, whichever he stumbled into first, I think.
Why is it that I always get the best jobs? It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all to pass on my wisdom and skills. But it will be quick.
Special thanks in this episode go to our latest patrons for encouraging the first mate to pass on his wisdom and skill. Thank you to Evan and Brett from Ontario, who learned to sail in the Sea of Cortez and are about to buy a boat.
Champagne for everyone.
Thank you so much, and here's to you. If you enjoyed this episode, then please don't forget to tell YouTube all about it by commenting, liking, and sharing. See you next time.